He's traveled from San Francisco to be here today and sits down with Steve Clemons for our next interview.
All right, you all got to see the gallery here. How many of you haven't seen one of these spoons yet? You haven't seen one of these spoons? I'm going to toss this to you. This is what you vote with. There's this crazy guy out there, he's really tall, named Carl Hildebrand. You go drop a spoon, and one of these three organizations wins. So here you go. Hopefully I didn't put out your eye. There you go. Well, either one of you can have it. So there's your spoon. That's what you do. You go vote with a spoon. Bastian, it's great to see you.
Thanks for having me,
This
Steve.
is the delivery king of America, the biggest online immediate delivery service in the country. And I understand that every one of your staff, I know, do you want to change these to black couches?
I'm good.
Yeah, you okay?
I chose black for
the union
Miami.
has decided not to work for me anymore, so they're gonna, so we'll leave them white couches. I understand that everyone in your staff continues to deliver, even if they are the CEO.
Yes.
So what have you delivered lately?
I think the last couple of deliveries I did is ice cream from a place in North Beach. I delivered, it's a lot of food really. I delivered pizza from Pizzeria Delfina. It's a very popular pizza place, Italian place in San Francisco. I think those were my last two deliveries.
Now, I just downloaded Postmates onto my phone, and you had pretty awesome stuff. I mean, there's a gelato place just 0.2 of a mile away. I could have it like it. You were just doing an interview with Fusion out in the front park. I don't know if all of you have heard Fusion, but I saw them doing. They ordered a couple of Americanos, and it said it would be there in an hour, and it got there in 18 minutes flat.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. And so, do you know your delivery people here locally?
So in Miami, I've never been here. Great city. I arrived this morning. I'm staying at the Standard, but the room is only for today, so it was an expensive shower. And flying out tonight.
Okay, cool.
But it looks great.
Great. So how many of you have used Postmates in Miami? I want to see
There's a
this
few.
guy right here. So what did you have delivered? Did you say a meatball sandwich? I can't hear. Give him the microphone because I'm going to pick on him for a minute. You know, my team, this is Lindsay Holloway. She's our chief of operations. She often orders from Taylor or other places for our team when we're having kind of a knockdown, drag-out day and orders food in. I always want meatball sandwiches. They never deliver meatball sandwiches to me, ever. Not one time in my 4 years at the Atlantic. And this is now going to solve my problem, that I can find a meatball sandwich somewhere nearby and get my own delivery service, right? So what did you have delivered?
Just things from a convenience store. So like
a bunch of things, like Band-Aids and
like toilet paper.
Toothpaste.
yeah.
You didn't want to go to the convenience. You don't have a 10,000 step challenge, to do your own walking. Now,
I took advantage of.
So I'm going to do this a little differently. So part of Bastian's shtick is rip out. No, don't give that up yet. Give it back to the guy. What's your name?
Jack Rosenthal.
Jack Roosevelt.
Rosenthal.
I can't hear anything, but I'm going to leave you.
Works.
Roosevelt. There we're going to probably Rosenfeld. In any case, you say don't settle for the status quo. Rip the throat out of the status quo, right? That's your motto.
I guess, yes.
When I was reading,
the way you say it, it sounds a lot more dramatic.
I used to work for Richard Nixon, so
then let's do it.
Ruthlessness, I think, is underrated. But part of you're on Twitter, your Twitter email is Bastian. I was sort of thinking, we were joking in the back that could be Beast.
Yeah.
Beast. But I'm interested. I'm going to give you the first. We're going to, we've been doing these kind of long back and forth talks, and I thought, what would happen if we started with somebody in the audience who knew something about Postmates and gave you the first question? So, Jack, you get the first question.
The first question, just any question in general?
Any question for him? I mean, do you have any questions for him?
No.
What sucked
I'm
about
going to give you an eye for a question. If I were meeting one of the most successful entrepreneurs in America building a company, I would ask him what the worst day he had building the company was.
Where is that guy? Because I have a question for him as well. So, I'm like, is there someone else who's coming?
No. So yeah, you're that guy. So what has been your worst day so far in building a company, being one of the leading entrepreneurs in the country? What was your worst day?
Oh, one of the worst days were when I think it was 18 months ago, 2 years ago in Seattle. There was an email being forwarded to a customer that contained instructions from me to
On how to deal with her.
to our customer
A
service team.
four-letter word off, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So,
Yeah.
but it was actually an email that detailed, please refund the customer. The customer had a bad experience, and I got that email and I forwarded it to the customer service team, and I outlined what we should be doing. So refund her, make sure she gets a delivery credit for the next time, and for some reasons I also included the last sentence, and I said, and someone also please tell her to F off.
Yeah.
And
And she got the email.
well, the customer
Yeah.
service team took it literal and forwarded that entire email to her. So
She tweeted it out.
she tweeted it out. Her name is Erin, and she was actually great about it. And you know, I apologized to her, and you know, it took me a few days to find the right tone and the way to do that, because it was a new experience for me as well. But that was, I think, one of the worst days.
So I'm always
Because I
interested-
saw it happening in real time, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is it. I may just as well go home, live with my parents in Germany again.
Oh, it's a good life,
It's
right?
a good life, countryside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm always interested in the worst days of America's most successful people, because what did you do with it? I mean, because one of the things, you know, one of the other interesting tidbits in your history that I read was you had this encounter with Travis Kalanick. For those of you who don't know, Travis is the CEO of Uber. And in contrast to your finding a methodology for
Yep.
picking up Slack courier time, he found a way to get Slack limo time or town car time. And you sort of thought you guys were bros, and you went to say, hey, you know, good to see you, and he refused to shake your hand.
Yeah, I mean,
Vicious.
looking back, I mean, it could have been all the circumstances at the conference and the time that we met. I'm not one to hold any grudges.
But he said, see you in the trenches, right?
He did say
yeah,
that,
so he
yes.
threatened you. He said, see you in the trenches, because of Uber thinking they were going to be in this business, right?
Yep.
So, so I'm interested in, you know, Travis prides his own success on going to Vinod Khosla's Fail.com conference, that failing made it happen for him, that he was too cocky, too arrogant, moving in too many different directions. I'm not sure that that's all been fixed, but he does talk a lot about failing or bad days or things that didn't go well. And I'm interested in that insight, because obviously what you've built, which is incredible, must have been fraught with so many kinds of, you know, seeming failures along the way.
Oh man, absolutely. I think failure is, if you embrace it, is something very beautiful. I think it's when you learn the most. I think the reason that is because we just reflect more on failure than we do on success, right? If things are going well, very few of us, you know, hold still for a moment and think about why is it that things are going really well. But if you're making mistakes and if things go south and you know you're not successful, you think about that. And you know, it took us as a company 116 weeks. It's 2 years and 2 months to get to a volume of 500,000 deliveries. That time felt forever. And
Wow.
there was very little growth during that
Right.
time, right? Just by contrast, it took us, after these 116 weeks, it took us 20 weeks to get to 1 million deliveries and 10 weeks to get to 1.5 million deliveries. But in that first 2 years, I talked to friends about that, and they said, you know, I wonder how many people would have just given up in those 2 years, because really not much was moving at all. We kind of felt that things are accelerating, but if you look at the chart, the growth is like this, very steady, not dramatic.
Not strategic leaps.
Not strategic leaps, so obviously we made a lot of mistakes, or maybe that was a time when we could make a lot of mistakes, which I believe is important. So, but 2 years for product market fit, you know,
So where did you get the concept? Where did the initial idea for this come from?
the very, very first idea is from the year 2005. I accepted a job offer in London. I lived in Munich at the time. So I got a moving van, and they took most of my stuff and they took it over to my parents' place, because you don't want to take it all with you to London. long story short, they couldn't, or they forgot to take my snowboard. And I wanted to get my snowboard to my parents' place as well. You surely don't need it in the UK. It's pretty flat there. So I called UPS and FedEx, or I tried to arrange pickups with them. And A, it seemed like a nightmare. B, I had to pack the snowboard into some sort of wrapping that I didn't have because the house was empty. And it was also very expensive. Ultimately, what happened is that a friend of mine drove to Berlin where my parents live, and he took the snowboard. So the original idea of Postmates under that name a lot earlier in 2005 was a ride sharing for stuff. The idea that there are items that have to be delivered somewhere.
He drove from Berlin to London?
From Munich to Berlin.
Or from
to
Munich
my parents'
to Berlin,
place.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
But you went through
600
the tunnel,
miles.
how do you deal with tolls? I mean, all that. You know,
Yeah.
so.
We don't have tolls in Germany, so
Okay,
that's easy.
Yeah, okay. Got it. So that's where it began. I saw some guys, I don't know if they're in the room or not, but they were wearing T-shirts called the Delivery Guys. The delivery dudes, are they here? Any there? Yeah, I saw you guys out there. I thought you might work for him, but you're competitors, right? Yeah, you're
Well-
ex. Oh, you're all friends. Great.
Welcome to Miami.
That's cool. So I did want to say, I noticed these guys were out there. I mean, is that what I hadn't realized, and it's perhaps because I've started walking more because of this jawbone. I got to get my 10,000 steps in every day. So I actually do a lot more walking in DC, but I see delivery services booming in ways that I'm very impressed by. What is going on in the American consumer base that has changed? Because there seems to be a remarkable change in what people want brought to them, just beyond snowboards.
Totally agree. I'm not sure why there are so many right now. I believe it has to do with the success of a few early ones, which is great because, we at Postmates, we love and embrace competition. I believe it's something wonderful for consumers, for customers. That's all of us. I think if you have a lot of competition, what that does is it brings the best out of in the companies. And for the consumer, that's usually better prices, more competitive rates, faster services. But the reason why we started Postmates 3 years ago, the reason why one or two other companies started that early is because we believe that there is an historic opportunity to own the infrastructure for local and on-demand deliveries in major metropolitan areas. The way we consume goods and the way where these goods are coming from will change in the next couple of years. We often describe ourselves as an anti-Amazon, and we believe that Amazon's strategy of having these huge warehouses somewhere outside cities close to major metropolitan areas has flaws that we can attack. We believe that a decentralized infrastructure that local merchants can utilize to have their goods delivered, using the city as a warehouse, these are things that we believe are important to tackle. Infrastructures are important to provide, and that's what we're striving towards to at Postmates. And I think that is the ticket price that you're talking about. There will be a local FedEx layer in most major metropolitan areas.
Right. Where's Miles Varghese? Is he here? Miles, where are you? Stand up. I don't see you. Oh, yeah, he's got this shirt on. It says, humans are better than robots. I'm not sure that's true, but I'm going to give you a chance to operate a question for a minute, but it raised the question that I was going to ask you, and then I saw Miles in the lobby, and I said, I need you to stand up during this because it raised the question about delivery, because you've got these ex-guys here, delivery dudes, and you've got human beings and people, and sometimes they screw up, sometimes they mix things up. Amazon's future sort of seems much more robotic, much more drone-like. You've got a robotics and technology dimension that seems to be evolving and potentially getting rid of the people challenge. And I'm wondering how you look at that. Are you out of business when they succeed? And are humans better than robots?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I hope so as well. Let's hope we make robots not too intelligent. That's my fear. So I have a hard time believing that in 5 years we have millions of drones humming through the cities and delivering all sorts of things. I think there is a place for commercial drones. And look, this Postmates has been founded by a bunch of geeks and nerds. We love to play with them.
But you don't have a drone division.
By the time Amazon delivers pizza with drones, we will have done so before them. So I think that's fair to say.
Can I say that's a tweetable line either?
Sure.
By the time.
And I mean this on a commercial scale,
Yeah.
not just a PR stunt flying a drone somewhere. I think it's interesting. Technology will help certain types of deliveries. I can see deliveries taking place in more rural areas on days when the conditions are bad, during disasters. I think those will be the first use cases that we'll see for plants, for machine parts. I think the biggest problem is still their ability to only carry very light items. But maybe we should ask Miles, because he's standing up now.
He's with the company Katana. So you get a question here. And
Perfect.
you get to tell me why quickly humans are better than robots.
Because at the end of the day, the more we're connected, the more, I feel that we're disconnected, right? So our goal as a company, as Live Ninja, as producers of Katana, which is our business-to-business product, what we're
Why
trying
do
to
you
do...
call it Kumbaya?
We're Katana. Katana is the name of the
Okay.
platform. It's a business-to-business platform. But essentially, we're trying to humanize the web. The web is becoming more and more fragmented. There's more and more technology that's out there. But at the end of the day, there's no one that can solve a problem, that can listen to you, can understand your problem, and resolve that issue, in real time without filling out, some kind of crazy contact form, dialing an 800 number, and listening to a recording. We built a platform where essentially you can go to any website, any business's website, and you can click a button and you can speak to a human from that company who knows the company, who knows the brand, who can help you and resolve those issues in real time.
Oh, so you're using the Slack time. You're using the Slack time in customer service offices, right? That's interesting, right?
Miles should be here.
You should develop. Yeah, we should give. So, what question do you have for one of our giants in sort of broad infrastructure and delivery?
Let's see. That's a good question. I mean, Postmates is driven
Everybody
by
has
humans.
their story, but they're not ready on the question front.
I mean-
I had hopes for you, but
Oh, wow. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it, man. I'm going to take this up on Twitter with you. But anyways, I guess my question would be, what are you doing to transmit, what makes Postmates special, which is essentially the people. When you have a loyalty to a company, you're not loyal to the company. You're loyal to the person that you deal with on a regular basis that knows you and understands you and has built this relationship with you. So what are you guys doing at Postmates to kind of, keep that human basis and transmit your values and ideals as a company?
your culture. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's. I like to answer that like a little bit two-sided. I love what you guys are doing. If you think of Postmates, in its essence, it is a human layer that allows you to do pretty magical things. Let me explain that a bit more. When we launched Postmates, we decided to let you, as a customer, hack your city. You can literally search for any place, any merchant, restaurant, grocery store, and you can place an order from these locations and have the items delivered. For many of these locations, around 30,000, we have inventory. But we did deliveries from over 80,000 merchants in 22 cities in the last 3 years. That's a crazy number. Over 90% of these merchants have never done a delivery before. And the way you describe the human part, they are part of the magic, what makes Postmates special. Because we can only do that is because we have an amazing customer service team that reaches out to these places, that places the order, that translates it, the stuff that you type in that app, and that makes sure that it is ready for a Postmate to be picked up. I think that's one of the key differentiators about Postmates, and I think it's what people love.
do you know this company, Eat Street?
No.
You heard of Eat Street? So for those of you who don't know, anybody from Madison, Wisconsin? Anybody from Madison in Miami? No, it wouldn't seem like anyone would admit to that in Miami. But yeah, Steve Case and I, Steve Case, founder of American Online, went on a bus tour last summer, called Rise of the Rest. The notion was that other cities outside of the Bay Area and outside of New York have innovators. They've got innovative clusters. They've got great incubators. They may not have the money pipeline, but Case is trying to sort of highlight, represent that. And I met this company. It's close to you, not somewhere, but Eat Street. It was founded by somebody from the local university. They recently got a $13 million investment on top of other things, and essentially is a delivery service that's gone national for restaurants, but there's no service fee attached. So the restaurants are actually digging into what they have to basically move it. But what motivated this young man was that he learned from a delivery guy from the university when they were ordering sandwiches that he was paying a fee, and it irritated him. And so they became the anti-fee, maybe the anti-Postmates challenge, I'm not sure. But do the fee service Does the fee dimension, looking at your growth, but also looking at your fees, which aren't small,
Yep.
Is that a factor down the road for you?
So for a lot of people, Postmates in its current iteration, by design and by default, probably feels more like an Uber Black service. So like the limousine standard, rather than the Uber X.
I see.
The reason for that is we truly believe that you have to create a product that targets a demographic first. A one-fits-all solution is often not interesting at all. So if I iterate on that, right now you can order from any place, so you have a huge selection, and you have to pay a fee. And sometimes these delivery fees are higher based on distance. But you will get the item that you like, because choice ultimately is a function of time and cost, and that's the only way of doing this in a sustainable way. Now, I said earlier that we did not do any partnerships when we started Postmates, and we just started 3 years in to roll these out. So if you are in San Francisco, in Miami, in LA, you will find a $4.99 place group in the app. And there's hundreds of merchants in these place groups. As a matter of fact, we're now monetizing 10% of all our deliveries also from the merchant side. So from 10% of all deliveries, the merchants are going to subsidizing the delivery fees so that you can order these items for $4.99.
Right.
So suddenly you open the app and you have a little switch, and it feels a lot more like an Uber Black, like an Uber X, limited choice, but you get the idea. So
Essentially on sale price, right?
essentially an on-sale price, something that is very affordable. It's regardless of your distance, so you can get your favorite products from these select places delivered. I think that is a very interesting concept. So for people who need and want a specific item from wherever, that's available. But for people that are more conscious when it comes to the price, you will have these very affordable products.
Right. Before I take a last question from the audience, there are a lot of entrepreneurs here in the Miami area building an infrastructure here about this. What are the most important things you can convey to them about your experience that ought to be game changers for any serious entrepreneur who wants to scale what they're doing?
I mean, I think that you just can't give up. Like, there are so many people telling you that what you're doing is not needed, that it's stupid, that it's too expensive, that it doesn't scale, that someone's gonna beat you to it, a competitor is gonna walk in your field any moment in time. And you know what? All these things are by design part of our society, and they probably—
That's what you call the status quo.
That's what I call the status quo. And you know what? Most of the time, they probably prevent you from doing something really stupid, like jumping down a building.
Right.
But when it comes to building your company or doing something that is out of the ordinary, I think you have to ignore most of these things. And you just have to keep on doing what you're doing.
Get another question from the audience. Somebody want to ask somebody cool? Right here, this gentleman.
My name's Bill Vernon. You're competing with a company, Amazon, that has decided not to make profit. And it's not decided to do that until the shareholders tell it to. How long will it be till you surprise them and they have to start making money, and then you're making money already?
Yeah, Amazon—
Are you guys making money already?
Yes. So most of our markets are profitable.
Okay.
The company, as a general, is not profitable yet, but we're on a path to profitability, and that was very important to us right from the start. Microeconomics are so important, especially when it comes to deliveries at scale, that if you don't tweak it and if you don't have a model that works on the micro level, you're probably never going to get there at scale or at large.
Right.
Amazon is a great example, right? They are eating or getting close to zero as much as they can, and Bezos probably thinks that they're not doing a good job if it's a lot more than 1 or 2% gross profit margin. I think the reason that I'm a little bit relaxed about Amazon is for the last 15, 20 years, Amazon as a company only did the things Amazon wanted to do. They introduced new categories when they wanted to. They introduced new products, Kindle, readers, when they wanted to. I have the feeling that in the same day, 1 hour on-demand delivery space, Amazon is acting because they have to. And I think if you think about the difference between because you want to do something and you have to do something, I think it's interesting to think about that.
Fascinating. I want to just remind people that it took The Atlantic magazine 153 years to become profitable. We are profitable now, but I just wanted to make sure you all knew that. We had a, just to wrap up real quickly, what have been some of the craziest things you've delivered?
Oh, I mean, I get this asked all the time, and
Okay, then we won't we'll forget.
I really can't think of anything crazy.
Well, somebody told me you were doing pregnancy tests and champagne.
That's right. I'm always using that as an example, but it doesn't even feel special to me anymore.
No, it doesn't feel special to you anymore. The snowboard was pretty good.
Snowboard was pretty good.
What's the biggest thing you've ever delivered?
Oh, wow. I think we delivered a refrigerator by one person. Maybe it was more like a mini bar size.
And it was a Postmates order?
Yeah. It was a Postmates order. I believe from Best Buy or Home Depot or Bed Bath & Beyond, if you guys have that here,
Yeah, that worked.
That worked.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been really fun. Bastian Lehmann of Postmates, it's a real privilege to spend some time with you.
Thank you
so much.
Thanks, Steve.